I actually prefer to make my cocktails in a Boston glass. I can build them, I can see the proportions, I can see the color, and then I can actually get more volume so I can make one additional cocktail. Hey bartender, you're watching Mixology.com with Brian Van Flandern. And today we're talking about shakers. You know, there are 3 major shakers used all throughout the world, but there's only one that's preferred by professionals. Most of you have seen this style shaker. It's the 3-piece shaker. You have a base, a lid, and a cap. And the lid fits over the base, around the outside of the base, and the cap fits on top. The biggest mistake beginning bartenders make behind the bar is they'll use these cobblers, but they don't want to lose those caps, which are easily lost in the dishwasher. So instead of setting them aside, they put them as one unit and they just place it on the top. When you do that, you have maximum surface area. You're compressing that much air, and so when you go to shake it, it starts to leak down the side. So whenever you use a cobbler, you put on the lid and then the cap. Most bartenders don't prefer them. I don't like to use them. And then you have this other kind of cobbler. It's a mini cobbler. Others people call it a Japanese cobbler. Either way, this is the least desirable because you cannot get enough velocity when shaking it to properly melt or dilute the cocktail down to the proper balance. However, these are very clever. Once you've made a great cocktail and shaken it down, you can transfer it to these Japanese cobblers, put them on ice, and serve them as a sidecar for their guests to refill their glass. It's a beautiful presentation, but not ideal for shaking. The second one we don't see too much in America. It's called a Parisian shaker, sometimes called a European shaker. It's only 2 pieces, and the lid and the base, but the lid fits on the inside of the base, so you don't have to worry too much about leaking. The only problem with this particular style is it often, especially when you add ice and you shake it down and the cold contracts the metal, it's sometimes very difficult to separate. But separating, if you do it right and you learn how to do it, is just as good, as easy as any other shaker. It is more desirable in Europe and less seen here in the United States, but it's a beautiful shaker. The last shaker is one of 3 components. You have the Boston shaker, which comprises of the Boston tin and the Boston mixing glass, or the cheater tin. And the cheater tin fits on the top just as the other one does. Both of them are fine. I actually prefer to make my cocktails in a Boston glass. I can build them, I can see the proportions, I can see the color, and then I can actually get more volume so I can make one additional cocktail. And you shake it down. That's not bad. But the cheater tin is highly desired among professionals because that way you can do multiple cocktails at the same time and you can kick them out in high volume. The biggest problem a lot of bartenders have with the Boston tin and the Boston glass and the cheater tin is separation. One should never separate a tin on the bar by banging it. Instead, once you've added your ice and you've shaken your cocktail down, you drop the cheater tin in just so that the metal is touching the metal on this side, but that there's a gap. I can actually put my pinky in there. I place it down firmly in the bar. If I'm right-handed, I grip it low down with my left hand, give it a firm smack, and that will create a very airtight, watertight seal, and you don't have to worry about liquid spilling on your head. Once I've done that, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna turn it so that the metal, where the metal touches the metal, that is exactly at my nose. And then I'm gonna go ahead and shake it down. Again, more desirable because I can really get that velocity, really crack up that ice and get the dilution exactly where I want it. And when I'm done and I'm ready to separate, again, with my right hand, I grab it low on the tin, right where the metal's touching the metal, is right at my nose. I come around 45 degrees and I just knock it sideways. And when you knock it sideways, it pops right out every time. Works same with Boston mixing glass. Same thing, you shake it down. You get a nice tight seal, it's not going anywhere. 45 degrees around, knock it sideways, and it pops right out. So that's your fundamental one-on-one on shakers. The Boston shaker with cheater tin or the Boston glass is my favorite. You tell me which one is yours. Check us out at advancedmixology.com or check me out at mymixologist.com. Please like the video, share the video, check us out on our future endeavors, and until our next cocktail together, bottoms up.